Hello and welcome to the 21st EY Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. I'm Ty Genwright, and it is that time of year when the best business brains in the country get together to share in and to celebrate each other's success. And one among them will be chosen as Entrepreneur of the Year for 2018. We'll be chatting to that overall winner a little bit later, as well as some category winners too. But first, let's meet some of the guests.
I suppose we've been coming here for the last 3 years just because it's great crack. So we're looking forward to the award ceremony.
It's a superb event, and you know what? It's one of the only times in Ireland where it's okay to walk around and say, guess what? I nail it.
To be an entrepreneur is just wanting to create something really special.
Entrepreneurs have a great knack of creating a vision of the future and then going after it.
Entrepreneurship to me should be people who make a successful business and are intent on putting something back into the community.
Well, each year more than 100 nominees take part in the EY Entrepreneur of the Year programme, and from that 24 finalists are chosen and broken down into 3 categories: emerging, industry and international. From these 3 categories, an overall winner is also chosen as EY Entrepreneur of the Year for Ireland. First up is the emerging category. Finalists are chosen because they're of high potential, dynamic, resourceful and ones to watch for the future.
So in this year's competition, the range of businesses, the height of their ambitions and the scale of their achievements is absolutely awe-inspiring. And these are just emerging.
But the judges had to select just one winner, and the 2018 EY Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year is Elaine Sullivan, Carrick Therapeutics.
The company was set up to really develop transformational, innovative medicines that really made a difference to people with cancer. For us, it's about making sure that we're creating transformational change and also maintaining a quality of life for the cancer patients.
Elaine is truly an inspirational individual. She's got so much energy, she's really innovative, she's a great leader. And I have no doubt that Carrick is going to be successful. Her vision for the company is very clear.
And Elaine, who won the emerging category, joins me now. Welcome, Elaine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
Oh, I'm over the moon. I'm really pleased. Carrick has got a phenomenally hard-working, talented group of people, and this is fantastic to win the award on behalf of them.
Do you consider it very much that you're winning on behalf of them? It's not really a recognition for you?
I think it's a recognition for the whole team. We had a vision, we've beginning to execute it, and so I see that it's a team effort.
And do you think will it actually help you achieve your mission? The profile it gives you, the people you've met, the networking opportunities you've had?
Absolutely. Winning this award helps validate our vision, and the judges are very prestigious, and for them to vote for us was fantastic.
So tell me a little bit more about yourself, Elaine, and how you got into this field. You were in the pharmaceutical industry, is that right?
Yes, yes.
So what did you do there?
So I've spent the last 25 years in the pharmaceutical industry, and I developed molecules for potentially new medicines, both in virology and in cancer. And I've always had a passion for science and a passion for creating new medicines.
So were you kind of involved in the research side of things? You're not just a business person who's got into medicine, you were a medical person who's got into business, as it were?
I was a scientist that went into like business stroke science. I see this as a combined role. And, you know, it's amazing to take molecules and take them into the clinic and, and see that, that potentially these could be the next new transformational medicines in cancer.
How far did you get in that sector before you branched out by yourself?
So I was in the senior management team, R&D management team of AstraZeneca and Eli Lilly. And I always wanted to set up my own company, and the opportunity happened, and that's why I ended up co-founding Carrick with the other founders in the company. So
tell us about Carrick. What is the mission, and how far have you gotten along with it?
So Carrick Therapeutics was set up to create a leading European oncology company. So what we did was, the first thing was to identify molecules that we could in-license into the company. We built a very experienced team, and then we raised enough money to create a multi-portfolio molecule company. And that's very important because a lot of science fails, so if you have more molecules, you have a higher chance of success.
So is that what sets you apart from other organisations in the field of treating cancer? Or what does set you apart?
I feel that our approach with respect to multi-portfolio assets, a number of companies does that. I think what we love is the molecules we've actually got in-licensed, and the great potential that they have to become new medicines to transform very, very difficult to treat cancers.
A lot of the kind of the entrepreneurs in the medical and the science field that I've met so far, those are the greatest success and the best stories to tell are doing it from a real point of personal passion.
Yes.
Why is this a point of personal passion for you?
When I was in my 20s, my father was diagnosed with very aggressive stomach cancer, and he was given a very short prognosis of life. The clinician identified a new treatment that was being used in America, and my father decided to take that experimental treatment. He responded extremely well to that treatment and lived for another 3 years. And that was phenomenal to see him, having a life again. I had 3 children in that period of time as well, so he met my children. And that was phenomenal that without that opportunity, he'd have been dead a long time before that. So that kind of ignited my passion for oncology, and, the impact of my father living for himself and having a great life, and the whole family and everybody that knew him, he was a wonderful person, was gave me a lot of drive to set up an oncology company with my colleagues.
An incredible extra 3 years. So just explain for us then how you're trying to replicate that success. I mean, there's been lots of talk of molecules so far. Mm-hmm. For those who don't understand your field, how do you explain it to them?
So, so for one of the assets that we have is a molecule that binds to proteins that are very much overexpressed in tumours, but are not really expressed on normal cells. So this compound binds tightly to the tumour cells. It gets incorporated into the tumour. It inhibits an enzyme and also then inhibits DNA repair. So then the tumour starts to die because the cells die. And that's one of our molecules. So it's a very specific molecule for very specific sets of cancers. And there's also a diagnostic that allows you to identify the patients. So you identify the patients, you treat them with this compound, and the early clinical data looks very exciting.
Mm. So this is the type of thing that could, maybe, like your dad, buy a few more years, or perhaps something better than that?
It's early days, so we just need to wait and see the results.
Okay. So people can probably tell from your accent that you're a blow-in, as we call you in Ireland. How did you end up establishing the company here? Because your career was elsewhere before.
Yes, absolutely. My mother's actually from Donegal, and I spent a significant time in my childhood actually being in Donegal, in Ballybofey. I set up the company with my colleagues in Dublin because of the opportunity, the fantastic talent there is in Dublin, and a real entrepreneurial spirit. So it was a fantastic place to headquarter Carrick.
So what are the next steps for you?
The next steps is to continue to test these molecules in the clinic, to identify other potential new medicines and license them or develop them internally with our own scientists, and build a fully integrated oncology company. And most importantly, you know, hoping that these compounds will have an impact on patients' lives.
At what point do you get to test that for real? At what point do you expect to see these compounds actually out there in the, is it in the market or just in the treatment world?
So at the moment the compounds are in the clinic, and we are patients are taking these compounds, and if the results are good, then we would launch them in the next few years.
So how much legwork has to still be put in to help you achieve those goals? I mean, what does the next few years look like for you in terms of hard graft?
Oh, it's a huge amount of work. I mean, the team and myself, we just work 7 days a week. It's a small team, but we've got a lot of collaborations externally, and it's just hard graft, but exciting.
Exciting.
It's exciting.
And I suppose when you take a step back and think of the bigger picture and what it's worth, what kind of extra energy does that give to you?
It gives them an incredible amount of energy, because the goal would be so fantastic to see that some patients may, you know, benefit from what we're doing. So it's incredibly, we're all very passionate about it, we're all very driven about it, and it's a fantastic opportunity to be able to set up your own company with your colleagues. And the word Carrick, actually, as you know, is Irish for stones. So we picked that that word and you know, for Carrick Therapeutics, because we really want to create a very much a sustainable company built on a strong stone foundation.
Stone. Well done. Well, congratulations on the great work, and congratulations on the win, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Okay.
Well, next, to the industry category. These are significant employers across the island of Ireland, the market leaders in their sectors.
Tonight we are celebrating the success of enterprises right across the island of Ireland, and it is abundantly clear that bright ideas and hard graft know no boundaries.
The industry category this year and the finalists are as dynamic and very, very different. The EY Industry Entrepreneur of the Year is, hopefully I can open this, Bill Wolsey, the Beannchor Group.
The Beannchor Group consists of the Merchant Hotel, Bullet Hotel, 2 other hotels which we own and somebody leases off us, Dublin site which has become a Bullet Hotel, the National, the Dirty Onion, the Hillside, 25 other pubs which people lease off us, and Little Wing, which is 8 pizza restaurants, just about to become 9. This is Petra, my wife, marketing director, sounding board. Ultimately, you need someone who reins in your more zany ideas. And Petra, with our fellow directors, is the voice of reason within the company.
You can have an incredible meal, but if you have dreadful service, you're never going back. Whereas you can have extraordinary service and you're a customer for life. And I think in a way that really follows through to how we treat our employees, and that is all spearheaded by Bill.
And the industry award winner Bill Wolsey joins me now. Welcome, Bill. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Thank you very much. Excellent. I wasn't expecting to win, so it's good.
What kind of a difference, or will it make a difference? Because I mean, you're already very well known across Northern Ireland with, what's it, 40 pubs, a whole load of restaurants and hotels as well. What kind of a difference do you think is it likely to make for your business?
Well, the reason we did it was for the publicity. And we've moved into Dublin where we're not known. So hopefully we'll get a bit of publicity about that, and there'll be more of an understanding what the company's about.
Tell us about your foray into Dublin.
We've bought a site in Capel Street, one of the oldest streets in Dublin. Actually, the headquarters of Riverdance. So we're putting in a 100-bedroom hotel and function rooms, and we're opening up a laneway, which has been closed to the public for nigh on 100 years. So it's a really interesting historic building.
Sounds like a great project, and Capel Street's really kind of found a new life in the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, and I love it because it doesn't have Starbucks and it doesn't have Nero's, and they've managed to avoid the yet. But you know, and there's a sense of community, so I love it.
Good stuff. So I was talking to you before you got your award, and you mentioned to me something interesting, that you don't quite like the term entrepreneur. Why not?
I just think it's overplayed. I've never really considered myself to be an entrepreneur, and it's probably for that reason. And I think there's a clash within myself. You know, the background that I have.
Well, what are you then, if not an entrepreneur?
I think I'm a hard-working individual who's. I haven't had a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, or a 25-year plan. It's just been slow, steady progress, and I've able to build a really good team around me. So I'm one of a team. So, you know, what is that? Nearly 800 entrepreneurs.
So you haven't had any plans, as you say,
no.
But yet you still achieved great things. So does that speak to perhaps an inner instinct? And maybe that is what makes you an entrepreneur.
Listen, I have a really simple formula that right from the very first pub, the first pub that I owned, I thought I'm unemployable. I'll just, you know, if I can work myself, that would be it. And then you see things being done in a way that you think you can better. And you get an understanding, the second pub goes well, and then you get a confidence. And I've always looked at, the only business I ever go into is a business that's not performing well, and I think I can give the customer a better offering.
And is that how you got into this trade in the first place? Because take me back to the very beginning. You opened your first pub in Bangor, is that right?
Yeah.
Nearly 40 years ago.
My first career was I had a disaster at school. Then I became a professional footballer, disaster at that. And then my father insisted I become a printer and serve my time as a printer. And that was a rerun of my school days. And for no reason at all, I saw this night course at Catering College. And the moment I got into that, I loved the business.
I feel like we've overlooked something here. You're a professional footballer.
I went straight from school to Arsenal and played for them.
And how long did that last?
I sort of say the season and a half. There was 16 of us when I arrived, and there was myself and the goalkeeper left in the second year. But I have a long-term illness called myasthenia gravis, but nobody knew what it was then, and I had a sort of dramatic loss of form, and it took sort of 5-6 years for them to diagnose. So in my life, I've had 11 eye operations, all unnecessary.
That's an eye condition, is it?
It's not. It moves around at random around your body, but it can go to the eyes a lot. And thanks to the incompetence of the Belfast surgeons, they decided I had 2 illnesses, and they kept operating on my eyes. And 3 months later, the illness would come back. Was it a disappointment that you didn't make it at Arsenal? You know, I get asked that question an awful lot, and I should say it was, but I don't think it was. And myasthenia gravis, it's like multiple sclerosis, but I never really regard that as, I don't think of it as a friend, but I don't think of it as an enemy, because it sent me in a different direction, and I've loved every moment of what I'm doing. And what a direction it's been. So take me back to that first pub. Why did you buy it? Why did you get involved? It was the only pub I could afford. And it was the dark days, and let's just call it the boys had got in. A paramilitary organisation had got in and had driven the owner away, and nobody would touch the pub. And I came back, and my dad was alive then, and we took over a very difficult pub. I was stabbed in the pub, and it was all a horror story, but we turned it round, and in that year I learnt more about business in that 1 year and about people than I've learnt the rest of my life. Most people wouldn't have touched that pub, as you know yourself. Yeah. And probably a lot of people, you say you got stabbed, would have run a mile afterwards. Yeah. Why didn't you? Because every penny of my mother and father's money and my money were invested in that pub, and you get to the position where you think, why should I give you any of my money? And I've always had a belief, which comes from my parents, that they're far more good people than bad. and we put back into the community, and the community supported us. So the people emphatised with what we were doing, and that's the simple formula I've built the rest of my...
And you managed to send the boys away?
Yeah, they eventually they listened to what rules we had. This was at a time when you couldn't call the police out. It was a very, very difficult time in Northern Ireland, which we've now moved away from completely, I'm glad to say.
Yeah, thankfully indeed. But it was a challenge for any business person back then to build a business, particularly a very customer-facing business like you were building. And what was the difference between you, who went on to create an empire, and perhaps the average entrepreneur who opens a pub, makes a success of it, and is happy with that?
I think it was attention to detail, and even though it was 40 years ago, we introduced food, and at that stage there was just a microwave. You pinged something in a microwave, and we had food, and we just sort of built up a solid, pub of characters, and that's sort of why you come to a pub. It was a good place to socialise. Again, I don't want to get stuck in those dark days, but we absolutely opened the pub to both sides of the community, and it was appreciated. People appreciated what we were doing, and it was a difficult enough time, but very rewarding.
Was it difficult to attract that other side of the community into the pub?
No, not for us, because as a family we were reasonably well known, and we absolutely refused to have any flags put in our business. We refused to make sure that there was nobody stated any political views in our pub. We were clear about where we were.
And I guess you attracted people for whom that was a selling point.
Which is by far the majority of people. It doesn't matter if you're Belfast, Dublin or Beirut. There are, people are good with people.
So it was, all the up from there, 40 years, and you built quite an empire in 40 years. There must have been some setbacks, though, as well, along the way.
Well, yeah, I've opened businesses which haven't been successful, usually because I've ignored all sorts of sensible advice I was given. But by and large, we made the right decisions.
What went wrong with those businesses? What were those failures? What did you learn from them?
Well, I opened a patisserie in the wrong place with a French patisserie chef who, after 2 months, I wanted to strangle. And, we didn't get, our costings were wrong. So we also got involved in an art business, which we didn't really know enough about. And that didn't work. So, but life's, I quite often say that, success isn't final. Failure isn't fatal. It's a carrying on, having the courage to carry on that counts. And normally we assess a business. We give a customer a product they're not getting in a premises that says something about them. And I invest more in staff training than the rest of the industry. And we have the highest staff retention by a long, long way in our industry, and you get those ingredients right, success.
Because these are your ambassadors. These are the people who are actually dealing with your customers. They can't all meet you.
No, and the clue's in the name, the hospitality industry. So you get the right people. You train them. They don't need me. Every manager's as powerful as I am. We make them have an understanding what the business is, where the business should go, and that usually leads to success.
Have you changed your mind about planning? Because you talk about those failures, and maybe if you planned more for them, you might have thought differently before you went into them.
Listen, it's 40 years, and we've had 2 failures, and we've opened a lot of businesses. So you learn from those things, and you move on, and it teaches you to stop being such an arsehole and think you know it all. So there's always something you can take from a bad venture.
So what do you think is the secret sauce of your successful outlets? You talked earlier about making sure it's the kind of place where people kind of want to be, maybe want to be seen. How do you find the right kind of recipe for those?
Well, we normally specialise in historic buildings. We've more and more come to that. So that's a marketing gift to start with, more expensive to renovate, but you have a clear understanding of what way you're going. That works. Training the staff to a level higher than the opposition is obviously something good. But we spend a lot of time thinking, what is the product going to be? You know, what sort of music will this person listen to? What sort of food will they eat? So it's a whole range of planning for a particular type of customer.
So much of the kind of the modern hospitality industry and the biggest growth companies are those that are focusing on the younger demographic. Is that something you've tried to follow as well?
Well, it would depend on the premises or the business, but you know, we would probably be 25 to 45 age group. That would probably be our target market, depending on the business. But if you're an old fart like me and you come in and you have some understanding of what's happening in the world, then you'll enjoy that premise. And similar if you know younger people than that 25 age group come in. But that would be, you have to have a target market.
So where do you go to find your ideas?
All over. If it's a pub, historic pub, there's no better place to go than our own historic pubs and look what makes them a success and what doesn't. If it's a new business, we would do London, Paris, New York, and we would home in or normally a business, and then we would copy it ruthlessly. and put our own
spin on it as well.
On it. Yeah, definitely.
So you were mentioning earlier you've got a site now for your first place in Dublin. Is this your first foray outside of Northern Ireland?
Yes, we've managed places for other people, you know, banks in the dark days of the recession outside Northern Ireland. But this is our first business that we've actually bought, and a heavy investment outside Northern Ireland.
And how much do you intend to grow in the south?
It's where most of our growth will be. We had made that decision prior to the horrors of Brexit, but Brexit has cemented our decision to grow outside Northern Ireland. So we plan to open Bullet Dublin, and then if that goes well, then we'll open another Bullet. But while we're there, we have a pizzeria chain called Little Wing. We plan to open Little Wing in Dublin. In Belfast we have 4. There's probably room for 10 Little Wings in Dublin alone.
Okay, well, I look forward to tasting it.
I look forward to selling it.
Bill Wolsey, thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Finally, last but by no means least, the international category. This consists of entrepreneurs who are global players operating in multiple markets around the world. This year's winners, Teamwork.com, were also honoured with the overall title of EY Entrepreneur of the Year for Ireland 2018. Let's have a look.
All 3 are deserving winners, but only one can take the overall award. The 21st EY Entrepreneur of the Year is Peter and Daniel, Teamwork.com.
Teamwork.com started as a project management software that was more effective than everything else that was in the marketplace. And it did very well. And over time, our vision for where our company could go changed. We decided that we could build a suite of products that would integrate together tightly to run your entire company.
Yeah, so our ambitions for Teamwork is to be a leader in the category of business operating system software. It's great as well to see when a product gets in somewhere like eBay, and then a subsidiary company or sister company like PayPal would also use it then, you know. So there are some big names like that, and they're brands that we grow and we admire it, and it's great now to see them using our products, you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Go back and celebrate with your friends and family.
And Dan and Peter join me now. Well done, lads. How does it feel?
Feels amazing.
It does.
We're thrilled, over the moon, delighted.
Absolutely delighted. I mean, we were the guys that used to watch this regularly at home. Never did we think we'd be up there receiving the award.
That's a fantastic milestone, and we're just really happy for all the staff as well. I think it's
really big party at Teamwork HQ.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So listen, I mean, you've been growing steadily since you were founded. What's it? When exactly was it founded?
Our company. It's a funny one, right? Because we went from being a web development agency to kind of e-commerce agency to a web application development agency, and then into product. So we actually started back way in 1999.
Wow.
been a 20-year journey.
So
just before
years.
Y2K.
Yeah. So I call him my work wife. We've been together so long.
But then that kind of web consultancy, which was basically you chaps designing websites for other businesses in Cork.
We're in college. The internet is happening. We both independently didn't know each other, taught ourselves how to make websites, and then we both went out trying to sell websites to every pub and restaurant in Cork. Typical reaction was, what is the internet, or what's a website? Or, occasionally you'd get them to give you £400 back then.
As it was back then, yeah.
Yeah, but then I started hearing about some other guy got in there before me. I was like, were you here yesterday? And I heard about this other guy, Dan Mackey, who was going around, called himself Future ID, very pretentious. I was even more pretentious. I called
what was yours?
I called him Internet Solutions Ireland.
Nicely done.
I remember somebody asked us, what's your VAT number? And I said, what's a VAT number? But anyway, finally bumped into each other in college, mortal enemies, but as soon as we actually talked to each other, we hit it off.
Yeah, we found we had the same kind of ambition and the same interests in programming, and we both wanted to be game developers. We were both interested in business, and we always, we just found
better working together than fighting apart.
Absolutely. So we joined forces and we went out selling websites. We actually said we'd get that VAT number, create an actual real business, and that was it. We thought there was money to be made. 7 years of toil later, we realised we want to get out of the consultancy game. It was never what we wanted to do with our lives.
Yeah, and we were working 80 hours a week, and we weren't seeing the return. We were just busy hamsters on the wheel, you know. So that pivoted us into
Some
product.
people might find that surprising, that you're there just as the internet is really taking off as a tool for business as opposed to a tool for research as it was.
Yep.
And not really finding that you're making that much of a splash or much of an income from it?
In the early days, it was a couple of things. It was that we weren't charging enough, simple as that. We would always go the extra mile for our customers and do a load of extra work without charging for it. So that was a bit silly. We got burnt. We had one person refused to pay us. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a big.
So we didn't have contracts. We were like, so maybe contracts are a good idea. Then doing stage payments is probably a good idea as well. Get a bit of money up front, a bit of money in the middle. So we'd be on the bread line.
Yeah, we started to charge for the work we were doing because the people we were doing work for, they were our friends. Do you know, I mean, they were small businesses. We got friendly with them, and when they ring you up and they say, "Can you just do this?" and you spend 4 hours doing it, and you just say, and you just don't charge it, and we were just stupid.
So one day we were kind of going to. I'd say we were going to go out of business, but we realised there's probably a smarter way to make a living, and we said, look, I said to Dan one January, I said, look, I've been thinking a lot about this. We're not getting ahead. Look, how about this? We give it 1 more year. We try and make this work, or we go get a real job. And that January, we said, screw it. Doubled our prices. Started doing contracts. Started not spending the VAT money.
Opened a second bank account and put the money in there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I hope the tax man is watching and is very impressed.
Started running the business like professionals, and overnight, our business was just infinitely more successful. We'd less projects. We'd doubled our profitability.
But you still wasn't enough.
So we still wanted to get into the product world.
Yeah.
And we also ran into a business problem that we had all these projects on, but we had no efficient way of tracking the projects, the due dates, the size of them, what the deliverables are, what the milestones are, where are all the files and assets and emails around the projects.
And even just managing and coordinating the work. We just had a big whiteboard up on the wall, names written down on it, and we'd literally work on the one that was screaming at us the most. So the phone call would come in, "Where's my stuff?" and we would put them higher on the list, and it was chaos.
So we thought there has to be a better way to run your business. So we went looking. We heard of some fledgling online project management apps, and we tried 3 of the biggest ones, and they were terrible. And these were the market leaders. I mean, they were very, very, very basic.
And importantly as well, I think around that time, this was a new way of delivering software as well. It wasn't a case of you get a CD and install it running on your computer. These were running online. And sure, we were in that game ourselves.
Business, yeah.
So what year were we at this stage?
Tim said 2007.
It was 2006 at this stage.
We started.
And that's just as this whole kind of concept of
subscription software,
but also collaborative working, where you're all kind of working on the same, almost documents at the same time, started kind of coming to the fore.
So the old world was pay $24 for your CD of software, install it, you're finished. The new world was like pay $10 every month for the software, and you get continuous improvements.
Mm-hmm. So you started building it for yourselves.
Absolutely.
But did you have kind of buried in the back of your mind saying, if we do something good here, this could be our launch pad?
Absolutely, yeah.
As we said, like we're looking at a number of products out there at the time, and we were building some world-class products ourselves for the likes of Pfizer and Lilly, and we said, you know what, we can do this. And we built a good app, and we said, we'll put it up there, we'll put it on PayPal, the only credit card processing
pre-Stripe,
available to us at the time, and we put it out there at night and
threw the worst website in the world together.
Yeah, just hacked together. Took a selfie of each other. First selfie ever, I'd say.
Yeah. Teamworkpm.net.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, which we realised.
And now you're not that anymore.
So we're two hardcore nerds, and we had no experience with marketing, brand awareness, anything like this. We didn't realise how important it is to get this stuff right. We know now that, so we thought if you build the best software, you will win. Turns out it's not that simple. You also have to have the best marketing, positioning, sales machine, support machine, everything else around it. And then you'll win.
Then you'll win. But so how much success did you have with the old name before you transitioned to the new one?
It got us to over 30,000 a month.
Over 3 years. It took us 3 years of this part-time project that we worked as much as we could on while running the consultancy. It got to 30,000 monthly recurring revenue, which is fantastic. More money than we were making from the consultancy. So eventually we took our entire book of business and we gifted it away to another web development agency.
You just handed off your old business?
We did. But we did it very carefully because we had a good reputation, we'd built up great relationships with people as well, and we didn't want to just drop the ball. So we very carefully handed it over to another company, and they said, what do you want for this? And we said, we don't want anything, just please
sure
look after the customers.
And
they did. Granite Digital down in Cork, they did a fantastic job there.
Which allowed you the freedom to focus on teamwork.
Full-time on product.
And building it to where you are now. So what were when did the baby steps start becoming the giant leaps?
I think when we hit 30,000 MRR, and that was pulling in more than consultancy ever could.
That's monthly income.
Yeah, that's monthly recurring revenue. And
so
that was bringing
milestones would be that 30,000, was first.
That allowed us to now focus on product.
We went full-time. Then we started throwing out some great features. Then we bought teamwork.com for €500,000. It's one of the major milestones along the way.
Okay, well, number one, that's a very I can imagine that would be an expensive domain name because any kind of iconic term .com is bloody expensive.
So and they're rare enough now as well.
Typically you go for 20 million or 80 million. So we got it for a bargain, €500,000.
What a snip!
Snip.
So how did you strike that deal?
In the bank account. So.
It was every penny you had?
Every penny we had. And we had staff at that time as well, so it was a bit of a gamble. But we knew that it was the right thing to do. We needed something to strengthen the brand.
So we great technology with terrible branding. And we were kind of lucky at the time that Twitter had taken off. And we were getting great referrals from Twitter. People saying, you should check out this thing.
And we'd do sneaky things. We'd find competitors and we'd do a search for them, and anybody that mentioned their name, we just like it. We wouldn't even reply, we just like.
Everybody does this now, these kind of guerrilla marketing tactics. We didn't know we were doing marketing, but that's guerrilla marketing.
That's what we were doing, and people would say, who's just following me? Oh, that looks interesting.
We also kind of cobbled together a referral program. So we're like, look, if you're using our product and you send this link, and we gave them the link, if you send this link to someone else and they sign up, we're going to give you 15% any penny we make. So we started getting
that worked very well because of the type of application it was. Because when we employed it ourselves inside, we had our own clients from the consultancy log in and use Teamwork. So those people who had their own bucket of clients, so it was a little bit viral at the time.
Growth there, yeah.
So you went from 30,000 monthly recurring revenue to where are you today?
So we're doing over
25 million this year.
We're doing over 2 million a month at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be this year. We should land close to $25 million.
And the sky's the limit? I mean, where to from here?
I mean, we have a 10-year plan to get to 450 million recurring revenue.
That's quite a journey.
Or north of it. But we're growing at the moment. We're completely self-funded. We're growing between 30, 40, 50% every year. We've invested everything into 2 new products that are launching in January, February that we're very excited about. Those, and there's a new brand, so we're doing an overhaul of our brand strategy. That's launching in January, so we'll have a big party. You're invited.
Oh, great.
But very excited about the future. We think as long as we keep growing by at a minimum of 40% every year, we'll get there.
Absolutely.
And the overall strategy is to make a suite of applications. We've 3 out live, as Peter said. We've 2 coming next year with the ultimate goal of having 10. But they'll all work closely together, integrated. But they'll also be able to run on their own as well and have a nice revenue stream.
So it's like an a la carte, but also a set menu and a pick and mix at the same time.
So we have this vision, like most companies would say between 20 and 50 people, they're probably using between 5 and 20 different applications on the web to run their business.
And
they're trying to wire these applications together, and it's a brittle, kind of clumsy experience. And when you take on new member staff, you have to set them up in all the systems. When you offboard a member staff, you have to remove them. So we have this vision where we'll have a suite of world-class products that you can trust our brand and reliability. They all integrate together, so they work really smoothly, very efficient, and it's just going to be better for your business. Keep you more
organized.
organized.
In this day and age as well, with concerns around security, having a one set of applications from one vendor that you trust, because we go through rigorous pen testing and security audits. To have that peace of mind, I think will do wonders for us.
So how much does winning this prize help propel your profile, I suppose? Because you're already fairly well known, you've got a fantastic client list, but what kind of an edge does this give you?
So a few years ago, if you asked journalists here in Ireland, nobody knew who we were, really, because we were always heads down. Our customers are mostly out there in the world, and we weren't making a song and dance. We're pretty humble guys, I think. But then we realised if we need people to apply for jobs, we got to get the word out there that we exist.
Yeah,
so
we're wondering why we were not getting CVs coming into the company. It's just because nobody heard of us.
I mean, you're competing with Facebook and Google. The IDA do a great job bringing all these companies here,
but
they're
hoovering up the talent straight out of college.
We got to compete with these guys, and that's why we invested in stunning offices down in Cork. We have 2 half-ton steel slides, and people tell us that our offices are nicer than Google and Facebook and all this.
Wow,
it's
that's
important.
quite an accolade.
And also, we don't have investors, so we don't have to please anybody. We want to make it a beautiful work environment, even for ourselves.
Absolutely, and we also want to treat our staff like adults. We want them to come in. They all know exactly what they have to do, when they have to do it. And I don't care if they work from 10 till 8 or 2
pop out, do your dry clean, pick up your kid.
Yeah, you don't know when the kids
just get your work done.
Just get your work done, absolutely.
And just treat people.
We also give people, fantastic holidays. We do 5 weeks of holidays. We ask them not to work more than 37.5 hours a week. Just as adults.
My CV's in the post, lads.
Epic.
Of the post. Who posts CVs anymore? I don't know. So listen,
it will stand out anyway.
So listen, you're off to Monaco next year to compete on the world stage, and also, I suppose, to press a bit of flesh and make a few new connections.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'll help propel that teamwork exists out there.
Yeah. And you know what? It'll be an honour as well to represent Ireland on the world stage. It's something that's very close to our hearts. We think that Ireland should be a little bit more sassy. We want more indigenous SaaS companies in Ireland. If we can do our bit to help that, then we've won.
Sassiness embodied, lads.
Absolutely.
Well done again, Peter, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations again to Daniel and Peter of Teamwork.com, the 21st EY Entrepreneurs of the Year for Ireland. Indeed, well done to everyone who was shortlisted, and of course to the organisers, EY. It has been an amazing journey, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds for all of those finalists. We hope to see you again here sometime soon. Bye-bye.